We're in the Endgame now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sacred Rewatch. My name is Ethan. Who the f*** is Ethan? Ethan Bronson. Who knew that I could script my own name? This is where we are rewatching every project in the MCU in chronological order, leading up to Avengers Doomsday. If you're watching this episode, I'm sure you've watched another one of our episodes. Who knows who's watching these days? We're watching literally everything, so you don't have to. I normally say including this episode, but I would argue this is one of the most quintessential projects in MCU history, so I'm not going to say that. We're expanding our thoughts on Avengers Endgame. We talked about Avengers Endgame. It was a shorter episode. I want to say it was about 30 minutes or so, but we gave you our raw reactions. We just watched it in person, one of our few times that we're ever together in person, and actually our first time we've ever seen a project together in person. So that was really fun. I'm a little bummed that we're not in person for this conversation. So please make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, give a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to. Today, I am joined by Mr. Johnson.
Hello, everybody. I didn't have to use my government. It's okay.
Was that really delayed for anybody else? And anybody else, I mean Brody?
Yeah. It was a little delayed. Good 4-second timer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I already, I guess, mentioned you, Brody, so introducing our resident philosopher, Brody.
Hello, everybody. It's me.
You may have seen Brody in this month of Marvel, the wildly popular production that's happening these days. He talks about Marvel, a lot of Marvel Rivals news. That's what I've been noticing the last couple months. Not as much.
Stuff that's consistent. They update every month, man.
It is interesting to see. You bring an insane amount of energy to all the production that you do, but it is a little funny to me to see Marvel Rivals news get less and less enthusiasm out of you.
Yeah. Well, I play it, but I just run in there as Captain America and just jump up and down. That's it. That's all I do. And I just blast Star Spangled Man. And I just yell in the chat, just lines from the movies. I can do this all day, and people are just yelling at me to stop talking. And then I'm like,
imagine
Owen's an idea, because I'm just capturing point.
I imagine Brody wakes up to the Captain America theme as his alarm, and then while he's brushing his teeth, Star Spangled Man is playing in the background to get ready for the day.
I do have specific music that I listen to before I record. Have I told you about that?
Oh, do you? No.
I was going to tell you guys about that when I record over there. There's a song called That's Entertainment by Fred Astaire. I'm letting out the secret, because if you watch this episode, you deserve to know that. But there's a song called That's Entertainment that is my theme song for Effortless Entertainment whenever I prep to go on here.
Well, I'm gonna use that next time when I'm editing.
It works for me.
Okay. Well, you guys have let this marinate now. I think we let it marinate a little bit longer than we wanted to. But hey, Wonder Man released. You might be wondering, what a funny joke there. You might be curious on, what's Wonder Man if you're watching the MCU with us for the first time. You'll find out in 7 months. How about that? So let's talk Endgame. I will kick us off because I know we talked about it. We've already had a conversation about Endgame, so I don't just want to repeat stuff. I do have one question to kick us off. This is a real deep dive. So I'm letting all questions fly. Hear me out. We're bringing back Parkitect, okay? If you guys haven't watched Parkitect, it's our long lost series of Disney Parks podcast that we used to have. It died. Maybe one day it will come back. But imagine this. Avengers Campus, you walk in. Get rid of the shawarma cart. It's outdated. Instead, they give you a big cauldron of the stew that Thanos was making. Why can't that happen?
We discussed that while we were watching.
Did we?
Absolutely yes.
Well, I wrote it down in my
You know,
notes, so maybe I just
there's
forgot.
nothing-
that
I
we
think I
talked
brought it
about
up,
and I
but
I
we'll give
want
we'll
more.
give the credit to you for bringing it back
Then
up.
after walking 20,000 steps in 105-degree weather, then a giant bowl of stew in downtown LA.
Dude, you know what that would be like?
hot, like really, really uncomfortably hot stew.
You know what that would be
it's
like?
just-
There was that day we were in
You're
the park.
sweating from the
and it was
steam coming
hot
off
as
it 'cause
can
it's so
be.
hot.
Do you remember this? It was hot as can be. We were in the park and we're walking around looking for food. And I don't know who decided this, but we ate at the Tiana place by Haunted Mansion and we ate the gumbo and it was spicy, hot as can be gumbo on the hottest day possible. Do you guys remember
yes,
when we
and there
did
was-
that?
So good.
There was
It was-
nowhere to sit.
It's so
I
good,
thought we were
though.
all going to start
So
passing out
good.
because we were eating like the hottest possible food and the hottest weather. And I have passed out like almost like right around there.
No, I do remember that. Good times.
My
though,
sister
good
passed
times.
out on Disney World bus.
That's what Thanos soup would be like.
That did happen.
That's not fun.
I didn't mean to make this a semi Parkitect episode. But yeah, I mean, I think the first question is, would you guys genuinely buy a Thanos stew?
Oh, I tried at least once. If they have a
And-
little, they have to have like a little Infinity Gauntlet like thermos thing to keep it warm,
Yeah.
and then
He
and then that
genocided
would-
half the
that would work.
galaxy. I'm not trying his food. Just not doing it. Call it a personal reason, you know.
Then
Personal
again-
preference.
He did that also. We could use the resources to make food, so he must have some certain recipes he was
Think of all
trying to
the
make.
resources
He
for the
must have a
stew.
vision here, right? That's what there's something going on there where he wanted to make that stew. Hold on, is that the whole plot of Infinity War? He did that whole thing just to make that batch of
might be.
stew on that farm planet? He just needed like a little bit here and there. He's like coming to Earth and he's like, "Are you guys going to take over Earth?" And he's like, "No, but do you guys have salt and pepper?" You know what I mean? And they're like, "What?" And he's like, "I got like," and then we
I
killed off
used
like
the
Ebony Maw
stones
and
to
stuff,
protect
and that was
the
like his head
stew.
chef. I used the stones to protect the stew. That's good. The Infinity Stew. That's what it should be called. The Infinity Stew. Oh, guys, we're on to something
I
here.
think that's what Ethan
We're
Bing
onto
called it
something
for a
here.
year and a half.
It's just like Infinity Cones.
Wow.
Ebony Maw was the head chef. That's why he struggled to make it.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. That's why he's got all those little knives and like pointy things that he like floats around. It's just for dicing carrots.
Okay, one serious question I do have to kick us off on
Serious.
our
Just the one.
deep dive of
Just the
Endgame.
one serious question.
Let's take us to Vormir.
Oh yeah.
Is that Olympic diving pool?
Let me turn red and then start floating around.
Yeah. So, do you guys think Nebula knew? Because this was something that I had in my mind. And props to Karen Gillan. No, is that her?
Yep.
Karen
Uh-huh.
Gillan's facial reaction when they got to Vormir. It almost appeared that she knew that one of them wouldn't be coming back. Did you guys get that vibe, or when you guys think about it now, like, do you think that Nebula knew that one of them wouldn't make it out?
Yeah.
Because
and I
it does
think
not
she
seem
just
like
hated
Gamora
both
knew
of them.
that.
I think that's why she kind of subtly picked two people who loved each other, because one of them had to sacrifice. Like, what would happen if it was War Machine and Hawkeye? Like, no, neither of them cares
No,
enough of
well-
either one to get this whole center of that. You know?
Exactly.
No, I don't think that's necessarily my question, which I do enjoy that insight. I'm talking about the first time that they went. Well, I guess that's more of an Infinity War question. But
Oh, when Thanos
no,
went with
you're
Gamora,
right. That is my question. I apologize. No, you're right. It was a poorly written question. I'm trying to keep everything in my head right now.
I had a funny
Wait, finish
idea
your thought.
of
Sorry,
it's
I'm
Brody.
all over the place.
It's once all the Avengers teleport back from Borneo, and when Hulk's like, "Clint, where's Nat?" But it's Brody. He's like, "Why? Where's Ethan?" And I'm like crying with a soul stone in my hand because you and I went to Borneo together.
Well,
Oh,
clearly
man,
after that
I saw
comment
that
I
was
made,
really
see.
funny.
I should be the one to go. Clearly after making that comment.
No.
You guys would survive. This channel would be okay. You
I
guys
would
figure
time
it out.
travel and
jumping.
bring you back.
I'm always got to
What I want
snap when we
you-
get
what you-
back. I can't jump.
What I would want you guys to do is have like an immediate reaction. All right, Ethan's not here. How are you guys? How are we feeling about it all? You know,
Let's get on the podcast and let's talk about it. All right, welcome back, guys. Ethan
I would do a
sacrificed
whole
himself
test,
for the
and
Soul Stone.
I would aggressively throw a park bench.
So I'm going to be
across
hosting
the
this
Avengers
episode.
campus.
and please
Right.
just clip the hell out of it. You know,
And then I
Hella-
time travel back
hella
in time, live through the start of the podcast. I become an old man. And then Wyatt's like, you want to let me know how Ethan's doing? And I'm like, no, don't think I will. Ethan's eating infinity stew on a farm somewhere.
Oh.
listen in the porch. That's all I want, man.
This is the greatest 10 minutes of the podcast. That is probably the furthest related to the actual movie we're talking about that like we could possibly be doing, which is amazing.
Listen,
That's when the
all-
podcast
all
gets good.
all of our context is related to Endgame, so it's not wrong. Besides that
Okay.
30-second clip when I actually started talking
Great.
about Infinity War, and I was, actually, it was more of an impersonation. I was like Nebula. I was like phasing in and out as it was getting probed, and I was like, "What's happening?"
Right.
Like looking down
You're
at my
seeing the
notes,
other
I'm like, "Wait,
memories.
that was from the other movie."
Well, that's what happened with the. Remember during Ant-Man and the Wasp, I started glitching out. It's always relating to whatever movie we're watching. Something's going on, man.
Well, okay, we'll overcome it. I promise. Another question I had is the Rat returning? Is the Rat returning to Avengers Doomsday? Will the Rat
This is a
return
video idea I have.
in Avengers Doomsday? Is it really?
Well, because I remember I was going to make the Doomsday teasers for characters that I don't think are coming back. And that was going to be one of them.
Oh,
With the
I'm
piano
so
going
sorry.
over it.
But
No,
it's
that's
it's
good.
kind
This
of
is
like
good
it's like
advertising.
a post-credit scene teasing what's to come.
Exactly. I feel like Kevin Feige at D23. I'm like, here's my next 20 video ideas. Wait 50 years and you might get some.
Yeah. So, what do you guys got? Clearly, I'm all over the place trying to read my notes right now. I'll figure something out.
Back to the Future mentioned. That makes this movie
Oh
amazing.
yes, it does.
A lot of references in this movie. Big Lebowski.
Let's just
reference,
run
good
through it.
one.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
The
Let's run
Ratchet
through
and
it.
Clank reference is
Hulk
really
dabbing.
good.
Bad. True.
Awful, terrible. One of the worst ones in the MCU.
Fortnite aged terribly, and it's something that you
Fortnite's
put in the
good.
movie, and it ages that movie when
No,
you go back and watch
no!
it.
No, Fortnite to W. Fortnite to W.
Sorry.
We love the Fortnite reference. We love the Fortnite
Sorry,
reference.
that's a. I didn't know it was such a
No.
sore subject.
Noob master.
Well, it's just I understand why they did it. It does make the game like it doesn't make you go, "Oh, this is 2019, right? 2019 or whatever." But
Yeah.
also I just don't like it because it's when I watch it. Like it feels like whenever there's a brand promotion like in a movie, like it just feels like, "Oh, they're selling something."
Also,
like, even though they weren't really selling
It's
it. Free game.
canon in Fortnite lore that the MCU has entered the Fortnite world. Like it's canon in the Fortnite universe that like
Yeah.
Thor's real and Hulk is real and the Avengers are real. So it's
And they've
if you really break it
interacted with
down, it's kind of
Batman.
a bit of a paradox in itself. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
it's
it's also like
an
how
interesting
Palpatine
one.
came back. It was through Fortnite. You know,
The speech is canon. I don't know about the rest of it, but the speech is canon. But yeah, Meek was back. Love Meek. Are we gonna run through scores first, or are we gonna save those for the end?
Oh yeah, I guess we got to do that.
At the 15-minute
scores
mark, as we always do.
guess we gotta do that.
Yeah, well, it might actually be the 14-minute mark because before we start recording, Brody, do not include this in the actual video. But I
will
sat
not.
there staring at the screen for about a minute trying to figure out what I was going to start the intro with. So don't
You were
include
having
that awkward
the
silence.
Nebula visions,
I was
trying to remember all the other times you said it.
Maybe now we're at the 14.5-minute mark just because of that
Okay.
comment as well. But I'll kick us off. I'm hypercritical of the MCU. Maybe not hypercritical. I'm hyper strict about my scores. I'm going to kick us off on a good note. I gave this a 24 out of 25.
Very strict.
I would like to follow that up.
So you
I
got to
also
respect
gave
the
it a
24,
24 out
man.
of 25.
Mm.
I do.
You guys
I
are going
also
to kick me out of here. I give it a 19.
Yeah. What?
You gave it a 19?
Yeah.
And it had
19's
Captain
kinda
America, the
crazy.
first Avenger theme in it, and you give it a 19?
That got 5 points. I gave 5
Where's
points to
that,
music for that
Cody?
one. And I think the music of the whole movie, I think the tone matches very good with this movie, the music. But
What
but
did
I
you
had to
dock
give
it,
it a
Ethan? What was the
19. Do
one
you want
point
me
you
to? I
docked
can
it
run through
from?
my scores. Oh yeah, that's a good question.
It was actually 2 half points. One being on characters, mostly because it's set up really for failure. There's just not enough time to spend with all the characters,
Yeah.
and although it was
Well,
funny, Thor
It's because I docked it for
fighting
characters as
depression
well.
with. Yeah, I just think like the more and more it sits. Obviously, now we're 6 years removed. 7 years removed from Endgame. I just think Thor combating like very serious depression. You know, he's lost nearly everything in his life. Combating it with humor, like I don't know. I guess you have to have some jokes in this movie because it is a very serious movie. But the more I think about it, you know, I don't know if I'm a big fan of that.
And they didn't change it for the end of the movie. That's the biggest heartbreak. Is in
Yeah.
this big
I mean,
final battle.
It is sick though when he's got like his beard all braided up. Like that's cool.
But they still could have had the beard. Still could have done that.
The only thing
had
that
no
bugs
problems with
me
that.
about the fat Thor being used as a comedic response is it's not the fact that they use. He has very real depression moments, but it sucks that they always end with a joke in the exact same scene. Like they'll be talking to his mom about how depressed he is, and then she'll like say something and then instantly make a joke about him being fat, which would be different if they were like different scenes, you know, like a scene where they're making fun of him for being fat, drinking a milkshake is so fine. If then he can have a scene where he opens up and it doesn't end with some sort of joke at the end, I think it would be like no big deal at all. But I also marked it for characters just because
100%
this is a
agree.
character conclusion movie. It's not a character growth movie. And it's what it's supposed to be. It's 100% what it's supposed to be. No one in this movie gets any growth
I
to
like
the
that.
next movie. It is all about finishing everything, No, I do too. And it's what
Tony.
Endgame needs to be. It's just about finishing all the other stories. Yeah, Tony, Black Widow, Cat, all of them, Thor,
But I do
Hawkeye,
feel
they
like the
all
jokes
just, their
are a
stories are
cushion,
kind of
though.
ending instead of really expanding.
But it does feel like the jokes are a
I
cushion.
think it's a cushion for
like
Marvel
I feel like
not
in
to
that
do
moment it's
anything
like,
really
well, if
too
you don't know who
serious.
Thor's mom is, have this laugh. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like. If you don't know who Meek is, laugh at him playing Fortnite. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah, true.
Noobs,
yeah,
the cluster.
But yeah, so the reason let me just run through this really quick. Story and stake, I gave it a 3 because the second time travel is introduced, you know everyone's coming back. The only real stake is the main 3 Avengers and what's going to happen. That's kind of it. And then obviously you have Natasha's death. I can't give it that high of a thing for story and stake because once time travel's involved, you kind of know where it's going.
I also
for me.
sorry to cut you off, Brody,
And then
but also
character
Black Widow's
arcs,
death
I
is
gave it a-
telegraphed from you
Go for it.
since Infinity War starts. Like if
Yeah,
you know from
pretty
Infinity
much.
War, if one of the Avengers is gonna die, it's gonna be her.
Yeah, I feel
Sorry,
like that's
continue,
also the
it.
tough part
Just-
about
it's
the
so
Thor
telegraphed
stuff.
that it loses a lot
is
of
I
weight.
feel like, yeah, but like I just feel like Natasha was going through a very realistic visual display of depression while still carrying on being her character, while Thor's was more of a interruption, especially with how the beginning of this movie is. So I feel like that's the other tough part about it. Like I know that it's him dealing with her death, but I feel like her during the beginning of the movie is a much more natural portrayal of that. But yeah, character arcs, I give it a 4. Really for Tony. Tony's the one that's going through all that. Everything else is kind of just happening in Tony's family and stuff. Sound and score, 5 points. Captain America theme a few times. Loved it. Can't get enough of it. And I think, like I said, the tone just matches way better. Iconic moments, had to give a 5, mainly just for lines that people repeat. The hammer lifting it's just up there. You can't take that away. The final battle, one of the most impressive CGI things that we've seen in ever.
The final
Rewatchability,
30 minutes of
I
Endgame,
docked points.
I will remember for the rest of my life. Like, I will remember seeing the final 30
Yeah.
minutes of Endgame in theaters with that crowd reaction. Like, I'll remember that feeling forever. I'll never forget. Quite literally the most memorable theater experience of my life.
Yeah. Rewatchability, I give it a 2. I don't rewatch this movie.
So long.
And I think without the character focus, I think it's fun to watch with people, especially Marvel fans. But it's just not something that I rewatch, and it's too long of a movie and not one character focused. Where like all the side quest bits, I don't want to be watching.
I actually think the real rewatchability, to me, it's so rewatchable because you can watch it in chunks. Like, you can put on the background and go get distracted, and you can sit down and you can watch that 30-minute chunk when Steve and Tony go back in time to the military base to get the Tesseract and he's talking to his dad. And you get back to what you're doing, or if you're doing whatever, or you can sit down and really lock in for the last 30 minutes and watch that whole chunk and enjoy it. I think Endgame's really rewatchable for those reasons. That's why I think it's rewatchable, at least.
It's just not for me.
What I will say about like a movie sticking in my head, I've been very transparent that I didn't start watching the MCU until 2020, but I did go watch Avengers Endgame opening night, mostly because Brendan, our long lost soldier we have on this podcast, he got me tickets for that, and I didn't really know. Obviously, I've seen Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I'd seen the first Avengers movie. I'd seen some other movies here and there, but I even knew in the moment what this meant for really society when the hammer lifts up and you get the grab of the hammer of Mjolnir. And that is just quite literally like a scene. Like, that is one scene, I think, if I were to take away, that I will never forget.
100%.
It's pretty legendary.
And I didn't even know really about the MCU at that point. I wasn't bought in like I am now. But this movie just has really, when we talk about iconic moments, this has impacts on society to this day, and it will be like another 200 years from now, because film has a relatively short history. Like, that is going to be one scene that will never be forgotten.
I mean, it still affects the current MCU. It's been 7 years, and we're still talking about, well, what's the next Endgame? How do you talk? What's the next Endgame? What's next after Endgame? How do you build off of Endgame? Like, it's been 7 years, and we're still like, it still has its effect on the MCU. We're still kind of asking that question about Endgame. It became something that I think every connected franchise, forever, is ideally trying to get to. Like, if you're creating a franchise, your goal is to get to an Avengers Endgame. Everyone's gonna want that.
And I feel like more than anything, to me, like, I've always been curious, how do writers write a script for a movie, right? And you look at any other non-MCU movie, you're like, I can kind of get behind it. Even a movie as complex as like Interstellar, I get how somebody can create that idea in a writing room. With something like this, I have no freaking clue where you start writing a movie like Avengers Endgame, Like, where do you even begin?
But we still don't know how much story plans they had before. You know what I mean? Because obviously they obviously were working together because the executive producers on these two movies. But like, they knew where Thor Ragnarok was going to end with. So like, it is just You have to just map it out. I don't know how they did it, if it's sticky notes, if it's cue cards, if it's getting them all as action figures and just saying this person here, this person here. But really, it's just, I don't know, it's different every time. The writing process isn't really a consistent thing for everybody, where it's all
Well,
the same.
and I think that's where, like,
Endgame's probably one of those
my
movies that was
almost
somewhat written
awe.
backwards too.
Yeah,
Do you think that's how
definitely.
they started? Like, it starts with Tony Stark's death, and
I
you
think
just work
yes.
backwards?
I think that
Pretty much.
they knew early on that your main villain of Endgame was going to be a younger version of Thanos time traveled back to us. Like I think they knew early on that Endgame's main Thanos was not the same from Infinity War, and I think they knew at the end they wanted it how they wanted it to end. So I think it just kind of got to the point where you just kind of got to grab all these pieces from everything you have going on, and kind of just plug them in as best you can to make them all fit. And I think Infinity War is the harder one to kind of get started with, and Endgame really is because you have Infinity War as your jumping spot. You know,
Yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, this isn't really something we have talked about in the last episode, I don't believe, but now that we are, like, really invested, like, doubling down on in the investment in the MCU because we've watched everything in chronological order leading up to Endgame. How did Endgame feel to you guys? That, like I said, we've been on this grind now for 10 months. Like, do you feel any more satisfaction watching it now? Do you feel was there a little bit of emptiness
it
maybe
did.
because of the Netflix pause? I mean, I'm really curious on what your guys' thoughts are here.
I actually think it very much felt. This was the second time I felt like I was watching it for a reason. You know, like usually I was rewatching it to kind of just relive Endgame to rewatch it, but going into it watching it for this, it was like I've earned to watch Endgame. You know, kind of similar. I don't know how that sounds, but like similar to how when you watch Endgame the first time, you're like, I've seen 22 Marvel movies telling this story, painting this picture, getting us here. Now it's time to watch it. The
Mhm.
same similar feeling. You know, I've watched I don't know 45 Marvel properties in the last 10 months to get to Endgame. I mean, obviously it's to get to Doomsday, but Endgame is it's your big, it's your giant check mark or your giant halfway point, whatever you want to call it. So I very much felt like, you know, we've watched all this. We've been doing all this work, time. I know how it sounds when it's fun, but we've been putting all this time watching all this stuff, analyzing it, talking about it, building up to Endgame, you know. So it was very I was very excited to watch it.
What do you know how many projects we've actually watched, or you pull that number out of your ass?
But
Do you know how many Marvel projects we've actually watched before Endgame, or did you pull that number out of your ass?
I just pulled it out of my ass. Is that accurate?
We've watched 45 projects before Avengers Endgame.
Really? I just figured I was like, there's
Wow.
22
Hmm.
movies, and we probably watched like 20 extra things. That's funny. Another thing to
How
add.
you know that?
Another thing. I also think when I watched Endgame the first time, I was not a lot younger, but it came out in 2019, so I was probably 16, 17, and I hadn't seen a lot of movies in the way that like when I watch movies now at an older age, I watch it very critically. Like, you know, I look for things like symbolism and I look for things like writing and I look for things like the way scenes are shot. That now watching Endgame, I have watched it with these last 10 months of, you know, somewhat more critically analyzing these characters, looking at them on a much deeper level than when I had first watched it. So watching Endgame now is also a lot more fun for that reason. Like I'm looking at things at these subtle kind of things and the way the characters are interacting, the way they're looking at each other in a much more critical, deeper lens than I really did back then when I was younger. So that was also really fun for me as someone who just really likes that side of movies, you know? And I think Brody probably feels a little similar to that too.
Yes and no. This time I was a little more like thinking about that because of the rubric. But I don't think
Mhm.
I mean, clearly you guys saw with my ranking, I don't think my opinions have vastly changed. Really, I just kind of go
Mhm.
off of what connection I get out of the movie. You know what I mean? Like, that's why First Avenger and Guardians 2 are just going to be up there. You know what I mean? Because I can't just. It's not critically. I know those movies are not the best movies in the MCU.
Yeah.
But the emotional connection that I feel when I watch them is still there. And that's why they are where they are when they're ranked. And the same with this movie. I think that's why this movie hasn't changed. Again, I'm going to record a reaction to my old thoughts on this, and I am interested in that, and that'll be a fun video. But I don't know. If it just doesn't connect with me in that way, it just doesn't. In this movie, I think it's very tough for me to scale because part of me is going, they're doing time travel. That's a cheap move. And the other part of me is going, they pulled it off pretty well and they kind of skip past how are we going to do it and they just kind of get it done. And it's not seamless, the time travel introduction, but they do it in a way that's nice and that kind of reminds you that Tony Stark is a genius for this Earth. You know what I mean? But it's a tough thing to balance because part of me is
And I
going, it's
think
cheap
what
move to
really
do time
helps
travel
time
and bring
travel
everyone
too
back, and then
is
the other part of me is
the
like, it's
use
really
of the
well
quantum
done.
realm.
Yeah.
Having the quantum realm, which is something that they've talked to us about 5 or so years prior, I think helps the time travel seem a little more seamless. Because it's kind of like, oh, we've known about the quantum realm forever. Oh, this is how they're using that. It's kind of like we've always had the tool for time travel. Now they just showed us how to use it correctly instead of creating this whole thing in the whole movie. They don't really need to explain it to us. They just say, remember the quantum realm? Now we can just kind of like
True.
jump in and out of time. Okay, cool. Works for me.
And they used it in the perfect amount. Like Tony having that talk with his dad is the
Mhm.
perfect amount of we time traveled and this is the conversation they're having instead of pushing it too far. You know what I mean? It's the same with the Thor conversation. It's the same with Cap seeing
Mhm.
Peggy. I get it's just because the runtime they can't do too much, but they just push it the perfect extent of how far you can go without making the time travel too
And
insane.
I know now we're breaking
And
down
it's just well done.
the science of time travel, but we also when they mentioned the line that nothing they're able to do while time traveling will have any effect on the future they come back to is also really, really big and important because then that just gets rid of all of that, like all out the window. You don't have to worry about them messing with anything or talking
Yeah.
to anyone or interacting with anything they shouldn't because you know that it's just not gonna. It doesn't matter. Nothing they are doing there can affect the future they're coming back to. I think that's also a really big Marvel check on time travel rules that I think really helps Endgame in the end and not becoming
Yes.
some time travel mess.
Absolutely. I agree. And because
Also, Loki,
it is the
using time
last
travel
movie,
to
I
reintroduce Loki
understand
as a
the,
whole new
like, let's
character
show
is
stuff.
very, very good idea too.
True. Yeah. But it does make rewatching Infinity War, kind of. But then again, they pull it off well in a certain show that is nothing related to Loki at all. Wow.
In Marvel?
Yeah, it's a show that has nothing to do with Loki. The title is nothing like Loki, but it rhymes with Roki.
Oh, you're right.
I'm
You're right.
talking
I
about
don't know why that
Loki,
took
but
me
for the
so
sake of
long.
the podcast, we haven't seen Loki yet, so I'm not directly referring to the fact that it
No,
comes back in Loki.
I know. I don't know.
I may have also lied,
I don't
because
know
I've
why
already
that took
started
me so
watching
long.
Loki season
I was
1,
like,
but
what
we're
are you
not
talking
going to
about?
talk about that
I
today.
know.
So have I, but that's because I time traveled.
Oh, so I follow the
I need
rules.
some of that Infinity Stew,
Okay,
so I time
okay.
traveled back to the farm.
Well, we Wyatt, I hate to tell you this. We've already seen Endgame. We're just talking about it now. We're following the rules of the podcast, Wyatt. Come on.
Right. You are right. That is true.
No quantum realm needed. Lots of good awkward pauses here, guys.
I Okay, I have a question. I have a
Okay,
question
go for it.
about time travel. did the Russo brothers and did Kevin Feige and I don't know who the other like main writers were on this, but Kevin Feige had to have known by
Joss
giving
Whedon.
the thumbs up to time travel that there was going to be some issues that they were going to have to deal with down the line, right?
Yeah, you would think so.
Do you think Kevin Feige regrets that at all?
No. This movie was
No.
successful
I
enough
think because
to
I
deal
think the
with
time travel
consequences
stuff
after.
has legitimately been their best stuff post Endgame. Yeah. I think a lot of fans would consider Loki, which may or may not deal in time
Except for
travel,
Wonder Man.
one of the best things to come out post Endgame. And I think
Yeah.
I think the stuff in Deadpool and Wolverine that deals with some stuff related to Loki makes that movie happen. And I think that's one of the best movies to come out post Endgame. So I think the time travel stuff has actually helped
And
Marvel a lot post Endgame. It's given them a lot of, I think, quality stuff that without time travel you have no real basis for, you know?
let's also note that they had a plan.
Can I name drop the TVA?
Presumably, Kang Dynasty was always the plan after this. You mean? I would have to assume, because of how they set it up in so many different projects.
Agreed.
I don't think this was a because
And it was going
Kang is in a project that is set up by this project, so it has to be directly from that. And they were just given a curveball, and that's why it feels so disorganized now. And Disney Plus obviously had some problematic inclusions of shows and things that kind of threw that off as well. But I think generally they did have some sort of plan, and they just got thrown a curveball, and they're trying to make it work now.
and also if you go back to the source material, Marvel and superheroes have always dealt with time travel and multiverses and like variants and stuff like that. So it's not like crazy, like it's not a crazy new idea for Disney. There's thousands of times in Marvel comics where characters travel back in time and two older versions are talking to each other. You know, it's a very common superhero thing. And they
Yeah.
explain it well, they set it up well. There's no crazy continuity errors that come out of it, you know? So I think they do time travel very well, and I have no problem with it, the way they keep it after the MCU, because they don't use it very heavily. It's very much viewed as something that's, like, retroactively trying to fix the one time they did do it, instead of it being a thing characters are often doing, if that makes sense, without spoiling too much.
Yeah. We'll get into that more, for sure.
Like, even in universe, our time travel is viewed as one thing, you know? It only happened the one time that we talk about.
Yeah.
I got another random question for you guys. The kid from Iron Man 3. I don't think we talked about it last episode, but I do remember Wyatt saying very clearly, I don't like that. Wyatt, please elaborate on that.
It's just kind of dumb for a multitude of reasons. Reason one, who would invite that kid? Like, who's telling that kid to come to Tony Stark's secret home where all of the 25 last superheroes in the world are for their funeral? Who's talking to that kid? And second of all, it's just I think it's just to show
I have a
that
theory
Iron
about
Man
that.
3 happened, which is a really dumb thing, you know? Because he's the only character who is like an Iron Man character who hasn't interacted with anyone else. So he's just kind of thrown in there to me to symbolize that Iron Man has his own movies. Don't forget about that. Like he has his own stuff going on
What
outside
if-
the Avengers.
Wouldn't that have been funny,
And
though?
maybe,
If
I
they're
know what
like
Brody's
fighting
gonna
Thanos
say,
and they're like,
I
oh
just
no, we
don't
don't know
think
how
they
to
were
defeat
thinking
him.
about this.
Okay, we'll see, because I did have something to say. But I was just going to throw out, what if he did show up during that final battle with the potato gun? And he was like, I got a potato gun, and then they shoot Thanos with the potato gun. Thanos catches the potato midair, and he goes, boom, the final ingredient for my infinity stew. And Harley's like, no, I was trying to use my potato gun. And then Thanos is
Yes.
like, boom, this is the last thing I needed for my stew. And then he takes over. You know what I mean? I think it's
With the
Harley.
one.
Right?
I think it is Harley.
He's like, how long do I let it sit for? How long do I let it cook for? And he's
How
like,
long
1
ago
hour,
did
1
it
minute.
sit? That's
And then he
funny.
just has to make the call. You know what I mean? But anyway, what I was going to say, and we'll see if this is what you thought I was going to say, was I don't know if they knew they were doing Ironheart. Did they know? Because I think maybe he was going to be the replacement Iron Man. And I think the reason he's there is easily explained
Yeah,
because of the
that's
Stark
what
internship with Peter. I think he was another kid on the Stark internship. And I don't know what it says on... We have that little plaque
But
of
the
him
Stark
at Marvel
internship wasn't
Avengers
even real.
campus. Yes, but it is presumable that because of
There
that
is no
college
Stark
thing...
internship. Wasn't it just...
I think the Stark internship is real because he goes to that college before. I think he definitely has
Oh, you're
programs
right.
like that.
Yeah,
I
he
think
does at the
Peter
start
just
of
wasn't actually
Civil War.
doing it. It was just that's why it was a cover because
Okay.
you look it up and it's a real thing. But I don't know what the plaque says, but it's at Marvel
I also
Avengers
think it throws
campus
off
when
the
you're in
whole
line
scene.
for the
You know, it's this very
whatever the
somber
Spider-Man
scene
ride is.
where you're...
Yeah,
Yeah, Web Slingers.
but I
I
think
don't know what it
maybe
says, but I
he
do
was
know
going to
his
be the
plaque
next
is there,
Iron
which is
Man.
cool. It's him, and it's the girl who has Devil Dinosaur. She's there too. I also just think it throws
Yep.
off the scene because you're seeing this scene where it's all of these characters you've seen, and it's kind of like it's kind of emotional. You know, all of these people we've seen throughout all of these years have all come together in one room to mourn the death of a hero. Like General Ross is there, who for the last 15 years has been doing personal vendetta against all these heroes. She's throwing her aside to be there because they're all respecting Tony. And I get that Harley is a character who, you know, before Peter Parker was kind of like the son of Tony Stark. In Iron Man 3, he has a very father figure role to Harley, but it just throws the whole scene off because you're going, oh, there's Bucky. Wow. Oh, Nebula even showed up. Is that Harley from Iron Man 3? Who the hell invited that kid? Oh, General Ross. Even he showed up. You know, it just kind of takes you out of the scene for half a moment where if he's not there, no one says a word. But I don't know about if they it's so hard to tell.
Yeah, but I also
Especially now
feel
it's
like
been
it's kind of
10
like
years. If they had any plans to do with him, why is he there if you're not?
I think also I don't know. I think it's also just, hey, we shifted the plot so that Peter kind of had this relationship with Tony. We kind of just switched it to him, but just to remember that that happened. I think it is a remember that happened, but I actually enjoy it because it's like, clearly I understand why they went with Peter. Peter's a more prominent character.
Yeah.
But where that
Yeah.
kind of originally started was with that Harley relationship. And I think also it means a lot because Tony's conversations with him in Iron Man 3 and Tony finally having a family and kind of getting over that worried about his kid thing in this movie with that conversation with his dad. I think he was still kind of going through that stuff really heavily when he was talking with Harley. So while it is kind of weird that he's there out of the blue, I do think it kind of ties into the story.
It's also hard just because, and I know that it's one of those things where you kind of got to leave it to nuance that maybe him and Tony did have some sort of relationship after Iron Man 3. Because where is it, writing wise, when is Tony going to casually mention Harley from BFE, Indiana, that he met one winter, you know? So you have to just kind of maybe what's the word, headcanon. Maybe Tony texts him every now and then. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Just checking in. Here, will you pay to send you to college or something like that, you know? Maybe there was some sort of
I was gonna say,
relationship
I
to
don't
be
even
held after the
think
fact. Oh my gosh, can I say
I
something real
think
fast? It's
their
completely off topic
relationship
about Wonder
was
Man. I loved when
yeah.
they cut to the Chinese theater at the end of episode 1.
No,
You can't
I
talk
completely
about
forgot to talk about that. But, or I already did. Just cut it out then. It was for you two to know.
I'm just kidding.
what I was gonna say
My
was I don't
defense,
even
with my
think
delay, you
that's
said
how
yes
Tony
to
is.
me. You said yes.
Well, I didn't really process what you were gonna say, and then I was like, I regret this. But what I was gonna say is, I don't even think Tony and Harley's relationship would operate that way. I could very much see it like it being a one-way transactional relationship of Tony sending a letter that probably Happy wrote, but the idea was there, and then Tony taking care of his college and his living expenses, But that's like basically the extent of it. I actually don't think that they probably ever saw each other face to face in my head canon.
I don't think
I
so
think it
either, which
had
is
to
why
have at
again
some
doesn't like
point.
fit to me. Like I don't think there's.
There's
I
no
just
way
don't
with the
see
growth
them.
that Tony has.
I don't see the Tony
he
we
would
saw
never
at
meet
the
him.
end. But I was gonna say I don't think Tony's had that growth that he's had when he sees Peter in Civil War / Homecoming that he's had at the end of Iron
I
Man
know,
3.
but it could
I
be
think Iron
after
Man
that.
3 is the start of the growth that allows for it. Well, I think Iron Man 3 is the start of the growth that allows him to feel that with Peter, which is why I think, which is what you kind of
Yeah.
said, it makes sense for Harley to be there, which I get, I understand. I don't know. It's just, and then like I said, it takes me out of it.
I
And
think
when
out
something
of
takes
all
me
the
out of a
things in
scene,
this movie
it's
that
so
are out
hard
of the
for me to
blue,
like.
that's not the craziest.
I know it's not
There's
Fortnite.
a lot of things in
It's
this movie
Harley
that take
at
me
the
out
funeral
more
that
than
really
that.
bugs me.
Yeah. Hey, we all got that thing, right? I'm from Missouri.
I'm from Missouri. I was literally about to bring it up.
Even
I
time
didn't even know
travel
that. From
can't save
Missouri
that
thing has
line.
it's been rent free in my head since you brought it up. How like just factually
I
incorrect
think
it
about
has
it
to be.
every day.
I have been since you mentioned it.
I'm just so worried that one day it's going to click and I'm going to be like, wait, that made complete sense. And I was just making a thing of nothing. And then I would just be convinced that I was crazy.
You find out that there's a planet called Missouri that Peter thought he was talking about, where Peter spent like 10 years after Earth.
I rewatch it and it's just the line's not there. I'm like, what? I'm like, what?
They Han Solo shooting
Where's the
Greedo,
line?
take it
He's
out of
like,
the movie.
yeah,
Yes,
I'm from Earth.
I grew up in
Yeah,
Missouri.
he says McClunky. I'm like, I don't remember Star-Lord saying McClunky. And they're like, why is McClunky? And I'm like, what is going on? And then Star-Lord's like head like moves to the left.
Auto
I think
shifts
that's
to the right.
absolutely what's gonna happen. Oh man.
That's-
The special edition of Infinity War, where I add in the Captain America theme over every scene. It's gonna happen. I'll take over Marvel and I'll do it.
Do you guys think that there's any plans for the Stark family after Endgame? Like, I don't like Morgan Stark, Pepper, any of them.
This is the tough thing with the Ironheart. I know we're not getting to Ironheart yet.
Well, here's the reason.
But this movie very
Here's some
clearly
reason that I
had
think potentially
3
no.
candidates for potential
Well,
next Iron Mans.
they cast an old version of Iron Man's daughter, because there's supposed to be that cut scene where after he snaps, he has a conversation with his adult daughter that tells him like, "Hey, it's gonna be okay, Mom, and I'll be fine." So they seemingly casted someone who they had a
Yeah.
physical version of Morgan Stark as an adult. Like they had an actress picked out, and to me, that's something you don't do if you're contemplating the scene even existing completely. Like maybe you cut the scene, but you still have that actress in your mind. So I kind of feel like they maybe had some sort of idea, but I think it's too long that I don't see it going anywhere from this point.
But like I said, they had 3 options. That's what's so tough about it. They had the Spider-Man Far From Home directly is, oh, you can't live up to Tony. Nobody could live up to Tony. And him struggling with the Iron Man stuff. You know what I mean? And who's going to be the next Iron Man? That's the topic that's getting thrown around in that movie. Then you have Ironheart, which is more of a follow of his technology, but not really him directly. Again, we'll get into that. I'm trying not to talk specifics about it. And then you also have Morgan, which Morgan, it's like, well, if she was going to take on the mantle, you would have to give it time. It would probably be after that new Avengers project that I don't even know is happening anymore. But I just think they had
Or the
tons of
time skip
candidates,
and no
and
one
they
wants the
weren't.
time
They
skip.
knew they were going to kill off Tony, but they didn't know where to go. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's kind of a mess. But I think Pepper could come back somehow, maybe in Armor Wars. But then again, I don't see them getting Gwyneth Paltrow back, to be honest.
I was gonna say I don't see them getting Gwyneth Paltrow to throw on some CGI motion capture suits and do anything. So I don't think we ever see the rescue suit again on Pepper, just because I don't see Gwyneth Paltrow doing that.
She might become Goop Man.
Gooper man.
Gooper.
Do I think they're gonna bring any of them back? Yeah, I could see Pepper coming back for, I'm gonna say a corny scene between Pepper and blank, 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 blank. I realized once again that I should not be talking about this. So, do I think they're gonna come back? Yes. Do I think they should? No. That's all I'm gonna say because I almost spoiled the first-time watchers of the MCU on the Sacred Rewatch. So, yeah, that's my thoughts.
My
Nice.
thing, my Wi-Fi.
My
was
brain's a little
disconnecting,
fried here, guys.
so
I don't know
have
if you
no
guys
clue
have
what you're
caught on
talking
yet,
about,
but
and I'm trying to put.
well, I didn't spoil anything. I almost did, but I didn't.
I know.
You can say it. I'll write down the timestamp and I'll cut it out.
Maybe Brody, you can play some
Pepper's not
dramatic
even in it.
music here
Is
over me
well,
talking.
Pepper's not even in anything after Endgame.
I need an approval from my editor, yes or no.
So put music over it, but don't censor it?
No, censor it. Like, slowly fade my voice out or just cut it out and play the
Okay.
jazz music over the top. Or
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Hmm.
She's right. He's right.
And then it's like, I have a hard time seeing this scene in my head and actually being emotionally impacted.
No, I know it.
All right, Brody, we're back.
All right.
No, all right, we're not back. We're not back.
Cut it off! Cut it off! The delay!
All right, no more doomsday talks. No
Stop,
more.
Wyatt, stop.
No more.
That's
No more. We're back to Endgame. So Howard the Duck, you guys like that cameo? I tried finding it when we watched it. I couldn't see it.
Oh.
Well, it's directly from
It's right after Evangeline Lilly shows up.
Guardians 2. It's from Guardians
Okay.
2, though. He was already.
I
in
always
that.
see the
stuff.
frame that they show or the little snippet, but I didn't watch it or I didn't see it happen when we watched it. So
And he's voiced by.
I catch it every single
Is
time.
it Seth Green that voices him? Who voices him
I
in
don't
Guardians 2? Where he's like,
No idea.
"Till you've gone duck." I don't remember what the line is, but I thought it was Seth Green. Maybe I'm off about that
Is
completely.
he talking Guardians
why are
2?
you letting
check.
them lick you like that? Gross.
I don't think that's in Guardians 2.
I don't know where that's from. Is it?
Is it from the movie or from what? Is it from what? I'm not
It's
gonna say the
from-
name of the show, but is it from
from
what?
what? He's right.
What?
It's from what?
Blank question mark?
From the weirdest episode of television I've ever seen, and a waste of a plot
no.
episode.
The scene that I just recreated is in Guardians.
Say the line again.
Why you letting him lick you like that? And he takes a sip of his martini. Gross. It's actually a great
Howard
impression.
the Duck says that.
I assume.
Yeah. I'm gonna look this up.
Cosmo's probably licking someone.
Why you letting him lick you like that?
I thought he says you're out of
Are
luck
you
until
sure?
you've gone duck,
When?
and
Well, he
that's the
said
only
he-
line he has in Guardians 2.
No. That line right there, Brody, is what they say in what blank question mark.
No, I know
The-
Guardians
What
2.
blank question mark is what you're going to
There's
call
no
it?
way.
Why? Wait. Why you let him lick you like that is from the first Guardians movie.
Why you? That's what you looked up on Google.
The
Why you let
first
him lick you like
Guardians?
that?
Yeah, it's
Not in the first one.
yeah. What? It's the Collector and Cosmo licking him after he's got all these scars on him, and Howard the Duck
Okay.
sitting there like, "Why you letting him lick you like that? Gross."
Is it the end credit scene?
That's the end credit scene, or is it just in the normal movie?
Howard the
I don't know
Howard
where
the
it's
Duck
at.
is the end credit
I
scene.
thought he wasn't in
Howard
Guardians
the Duck
until Guardians
is the end
2.
credit scene of one of the Guardians. He's the end credit scene of the first Guardians. One of them. One of the two.
Yeah, he's like complaining to the Collector.
It is
He's
an
like,
end credit
drink,
scene.
drink, drink, drink.
It's
whatever,
after everything's
right?
blown up. No, everything's
Yeah.
blown up, and he's like just sitting in his destroyed cage, just like sipping a
Yeah.
martini, and like everything around is broken, and he's just like sitting in the empty cage. It's something like that.
But in
And I think
Guardians
Cosmo's
2, he
licking the collector because
says,
the collector's sitting down all sad, and Cosmo's like licking his face.
yeah, that is what it is for sure.
What's the
Howard's
duck
like,
line you're talking about?
says the
Till
line.
you go duck, you can't.
You're out of luck until you've gone duck. It's like when he's sitting, it's when you meet Yondu, and he's like outside the
Doesn't
place
make
laughing.
sense.
And he is voiced by Seth Green. I was right about that. Yeah, he says, you know what they say, you're out of luck until you've gone
yeah.
duck.
But that's middle movie
We
volume
need a
2.
really good,
The scene I'm
beginning
talking
of
about
movie.
is an end
we need a
credit
really
scene.
good Howard the Duck
Beginning of
piece
movie,
of
Guardians 2.
content. Like we got
I
that awful
cannot
movie in
wait
the 80s. Like
After
Marvel
Avengers
should really
Doomsday,
throw out a
I'm not
really
even
good
excited to watch
animated
Avengers
Howard the
Doomsday.
Duck
I'm
show.
just excited to watch 1984 Howard the Duck, executive produced by. Anybody know who the executive producer is?
It's not George Lucas, is it?
It
Stanley
is George
Kubrick.
Lucas.
Speaking of Back to the Future as
No
well,
way.
awkward relationships with ducks. We'll get into it.
Now I'm on Howard the Duck MCU wiki.
Dude, George Lucas, wait till we get to Captain EO. If Captain EO returns in Avengers Doomsday,
Whoa,
I
whoa,
will
whoa, whoa! You guys want to
freak
deep
out.
dive here? Found out a crazy fact. Crazy fact.
go for it.
Howard the Duck, although he appears in the portal scene, he was not blipped, according to MCU Wiki. Explain that one to me.
Well, it's
just
because
you were blipped doesn't
he
mean you
was in
couldn't show up in the
Infinity
fight.
War, so they don't have to explain him, right? Yeah. Because don't all the
Well,
Ravagers show up?
It's not like they're not going to let him come fight. Yeah. He just wants to help the galaxy. Like he's literally just he's it's like in
Don't
Rise of
question the
Skywalker when they're
duck.
like, what did they say, Brody? They're like, I didn't think anyone would come, and then like everyone shows up. Whatever they say in that awful movie, it's like
And it's
that,
like,
you know?
yeah,
he
the
just
turtle
come
around
to
the
fight
corner.
Thanos. Such a terrible
Yeah.
movie.
Howard the Duck is our Lando Calrissian for the MCU.
It's not bad. You know, it's not bad for what it was given.
Okay,
Yeah,
one
no,
more
yeah.
Howard the Duck question before we
is.
move on from Howard. What weapon
Mr. Duck.
does Howard the Duck have in Portals?
He has a huge blaster, doesn't he?
His one
He's a rocket
ability
launcher.
listed on
It's a quad launcher.
MCU Wiki is during the Battle of Earth. I guess that's what they call it. I didn't
He's
know. it was
holding a
called the Battle
destroyer
of
gun.
Earth. Howard
News
the
to
Duck
me.
uses a submachine gun.
Wow.
He's
Quite
labeled as
space
a
of him.
marksman. I know. Well, to him, it's like quite outer space. Like, I want that, even though it's like really.
Well, he's a very mobster-esque character. He's always wearing a suit and like sipping a martini and spraying a Tommy gun.
Right.
Well, what else besides Howard the Duck can we talk about?
What's his middle name? Howard, is it the?
Genuinely,
Is it the?
I think he has.
Howard
one.
Anybody
the
know what
Duck?
his last name is?
No, it's like
he's got a last
Duck?
name.
It's Duck.
Duckworthington.
Close.
Peterson.
It is
Donald.
Howard Duckson.
Duckson.
Like Odinson,
I didn't know his father was a duck.
but it's
His middle
Duckson.
name.
Yeah, I
his
mean,
middle name is Stanley.
so that means Howard
that
That's
Duckson.
true?
my theory.
Father, his name is Duck.
That's my theory. Howard Stanley
Just
Duckson.
Duck.
Or it's his, what he does for a living. Yeah, man. Maybe Duck is what he does for a living.
Oh, that's also true.
Right. Hey guys, I just want to take a moment to thank our sponsors. This episode is sponsored by Effortless Expeditions, a Disney-centered travel agency, here to help you plan your next Disney vacation. Contact them today for a free, no-obligation quote. Wherever the destination, they make the experience truly effortless. This episode of the Sacred Rewatch is also brought to you by Bronson Made, a digital marketing and branding agency that helps businesses grow and stand out. With the idea of our canvas, your story, Bronson Made makes the creative process simple, collaborative, and effective. Find out more at bronsonmade.com or follow them on Instagram at BronsonMade. What a fun podcast today, guys.
I know. I was hyping up the conversation we were gonna have. Like, we were gonna have this deep intellectual conversation last episode. Here we are wasting another 10 minutes on Howard the Duck.
It's kind of like Avengers Endgame. It is a lot of fun stuff to watch, but you can't think about it too much. And then Howard the Duck shows up at the end.
Mm-hmm.
This is Avengers Endgame.
I do have a deep question for you guys.
Ooh, okay.
Post Tony snap, everybody's kind of collecting themselves. There's a scene overlooking the lake. It's Clinton Barton and Wanda Maximoff having this moment. And Wanda's like, do you think he knows? What are you guys' thoughts on that scene?
Are you getting a TV show? Yeah, I'm getting a TV show too.
I think
that's what's
That's
going
kind
on.
of what it was. It was like, you get a TV show. You get a TV show. You get a movie.
We were talking about that during the movie. It was the three standing next to each other. Who was it? It was Don Cheadle.
Oh, it was Sam, Bucky, and Don Cheadle.
Yeah, and it was like, who's getting a TV show? That's them. And then I was like, oh wait, but they're not setting up WandaVision. And then they have
It's like, you're
Wanda
getting a TV show.
and
You're getting a TV show.
Hawkeye.
You're getting a movie that's getting canceled but brought back as a TV show and then canceled again.
Exactly. Yes, that is exactly what the end of this movie feels
Marvel loves
like.
giving you those.
And then the one time they weren't setting up
Can
a
I
show
ask, what do you mean?
with
What are my
Cap
thoughts
taking
on
the
that
stones back
conversation they have?
is the one thing that everybody wants to see.
Yeah. But to be honest with you, I don't think
But
it
I
would be very
disagree.
good.
I don't want to see that. Dude,
Yeah, I don't think.
I'm so with you
Very
on that.
interesting.
I think that is the lamest idea, and I don't get why it
And
keeps
if it
getting
is-
pushed around.
There's no purpose.
A show of
Well,
him
because
going back
the
to
idea of
exactly
it,
what we
if
just
they
saw in the
did
movie
what
we just
people
watched.
wanted, it wouldn't be what happened. Like, it's just him dropping by, hey, here's this back, and then he leaves. I don't want some 30-minute story of the adventures he goes on. It's not an adventure.
Yeah. That was literally just people not being able to move on from this movie. And it's like, come on, guys.
The only
Pack it up,
interesting,
pack
the
it
only
in.
interesting
Let me
part
So-
is him in talking to the Red Skull, and even then, it'd be more interesting if when he goes back to Return of the Stones, it's not the Red Skull, it's now Thanos. That is 10 times more interesting than it being the Red Skull. Which
What
is
would
who
happen to
probably
the Red
would be,
Skull?
realistically. I'm just saying, he's no longer, he's gone. His soul can go to peace now because he's no longer guarding the Soul Stone. It's Thanos, just because he kind of messed up even royler with the misuse of the stones, you know.
I'm with you. I can get behind it.
And then he gets his skull ripped out. But we won't get into that. Won't get into that. At all.
Well, let's do 10 to 15 more minutes. Brody, let's go back maybe like 3 days because I'm assuming that's how long ago this started. What are you guys excited for Loki? And actually, let's talk about, to me, like how smart of a decision it was
We lost Wyatt.
yeah, I know. How smart of a decision it was to have that, like, very much, if you blink, you'll miss it scene of Loki disappearing. But even when I was in the theater, and I think I talked about this in the last episode, of like when Loki grabs the Tesseract, even though I wasn't in the MCU, it was just like that Leonardo DiCaprio scene that everybody uses for memes. Like, I can't whistle right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the reason I like that scene so much, because although like I had that reaction in theaters, they capitalized on it, and we'll talk about that next episode. But they capitalized on it.
Really, the scene made me worried because I was already having worries about post Avengers Endgame right away. And it kind of, even though that one in retrospect, I think largely paid off for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think it did set up kind of how the next years were going to be. It was, we're setting something up and you have to wait and see if it pays off. And even if it pays off, it won't be as connected as the previous stuff. Because I think they just switched their kind of mode of function after this movie. With the TV shows, with everything. I think... stuff just changed. You know what I mean? Like, stuff was setting up stuff previously, but it wasn't how it is now, where I feel like they did that Loki thing, and it was just a pure 50-50 on if it was going to be good or not, which most projects are. You know what I mean? Like, the vibe just changed when it was like this thing from the movie is getting a TV show. This thing from the movie is also getting a TV show. It was interesting at the time, but I do think their decision to whatever plans they had for Loki clearly paid off, at least with season 1.
I think, I don't know. And I think that's what I'm really excited, like, how we set up, because although on a technicality, we're really not following chronological order the way they should, but maybe it's also because Disney Plus does a terrible job of truly outlining it. But I think where we're moving forward with Loki season 1 and then kind of going on this multiversal adventure, and then we're going to watch the rest of the MCU, and then we're going to end it with Loki season 2. Like, I just think if I was in Marvel, I'd put out this beautiful graphic saying, hey, if you're going to be psychotic like the people at the Sacred Rewatch, this is how you should watch it, you know?
Yeah. I think that's part of Disney Plus that hasn't been maximized to what it should be. They put out a character collection sometimes where you can kind of scroll through and see a collection of shows with that character, but they're not usually chronologically correct.
Yeah.
I think we also get into it with Star Wars stuff. It would be really cool to just have a chronological list that actually breaks up the episodes. Because sometimes we get episodes that aren't chronological order. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it would be nice to have chronological order for things like Clone Wars for Star Wars, but there are certain
I
Marvel
was
projects.
exactly going to bring that up. Like, imagine you have a button that you can click that says put in chronological order, and like Star Wars, because I feel like Star Wars has the most interesting like breakup where you've got Revenge of the
Yes.
Sith, then you watch these 4 episodes of season 7 of Clone Wars. Like, the MCU would be much easier than doing that for Star Wars, right?
Yeah, well, because Star Wars, I know we don't want to get into Star Wars tons, but I will because I love it.
It's in the MCU, so technically we're talking about it.
Yeah.
In canon.
True. But I just think, like, Star Wars has a lot of overlapping stuff. Marvel will have 1 or 2 scenes that overlap with previous continuity. But Star Wars has a lot of this is happening at the same time as this. So you kind of have to pause the movie, watch this, and then. But, yeah, I think it would just be a really cool way to maximize Disney Plus quality. You know what I mean? I do think the channels thing they were doing for a while, did you see those? Where they had the live channels that would just play Marvel stuff constantly?
I haven't seen that. I do remember when Disney Plus, and I'll try to keep this as canon as possible. Right after Endgame and Disney Plus actually was launched, and all the Disney Plus Marvel shows were happening, they used to have this small series called Legacy, I think, where they would go back through the MCU.
Those were super cool.
I think they stopped doing that. I don't think they make those anymore.
I don't think so either, but they were really cool, just character recaps, which is, it's fun stuff. But I think, yeah, but they had these live broadcasts that would just be playing Marvel constantly, like random episodes, random shows, random everything.
Yeah.
So if you couldn't choose what to watch, you could just click on that, and I think that's another great way to use Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of if I have anything else to say about this movie.
I don't. I mean,
jazz music.
Yeah.
Jazz music and, what's his name? Hank Pym, blanking on the actor's name. Michael Douglas? Not Michael Douglas. Yeah. That's, is it Michael Douglas?
It is Michael Douglas, yeah.
My brain went
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Okay. My brain went Keaton, which is another Michelle Pfeiffer movie. So
Michael Keaton is Vulture.
Is what?
Vulture.
Yes. Yeah, I forgot he's in Marvel too, but I was just saying because of Batman, because Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say about this movie. I just can't give it that high of a rating.
This is what I'll say, and I feel like this kind of like wraps up this conversation in a ball, because I was hoping to have a more in-depth conversation, but I've thought about this for several days of what we're going to talk about. And I think we've got a lot of like interesting thoughts out there. But this movie like really is I think where we're at right now, it's very much the last scene before intermission. It's very like
Yeah.
self-containing, and props to the Russo brothers. They don't give you that much cliffhangers that you're upset about. They fulfill
Yeah.
so many ideas that people have had about the MCU and about these characters that, yes, when Endgame came out, there was still a lot of questions because we didn't know. But now we're 7 years later, and a lot of questions have been answered. But I think now, where we're at watching Endgame, the questions we have about it, we can't really talk about until we watch later projects, right? Because
Yeah.
Endgame, maybe this is a teaser. Endgame very much is a nexus for the MCU. Like everything
Yes.
I'm starting to see in this, everything is coming back to Endgame. And
Yeah.
when I first, when it was kind of teased that, there's a reason they're re-releasing Endgame in theaters in September. Like there very much is a strategic reason of why they're doing that, in my opinion. That
Yeah.
Endgame, very much how people kind of pre-Endgame went back to the Avengers, like that was the main focal point.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's more of an argument to be made about Iron Man, really. Everything's
Yeah.
going to come back to Endgame, and although I'd want to talk more about Endgame, we just can't. We
Yeah.
spoil a lot of things moving forward.
I will raise the biggest concern that I have. Clearly the Russos have an amazing formula. You mean of their writing is really good. Like when you they add new stuff while keeping the old stuff. So there's new lines in this like I love you 3000 and things like that are new things that we say. You know what I mean? Even when they're not jokes. But I think what I'm hoping for in these next 2 movies we're getting from them, or 3, if the Secret Wars ends up to be 2 parts like people are theorizing.
I think it's
there's not
going
really
to
much
happen.
grounds to that, but let's clear that up real quick. If it does happen, it was planned. I'm tired of people saying like, "Oh, if it's based on how Doomsday does." No, they know if they're going to do a 2-part because it's how they would film it. So,
And
anyway.
they want that reveal either at the end of Doomsday or at the end of Secret Wars. We won't know until we're in theaters, to be honest with you.
Yes. But what I'm concerned about is they wrote this amazing ending with Endgame, which I think was absolutely necessary. Because then going forward, no matter what you do, at least that story had its ending and it's complete. And you can go back and watch it and say, this is that era of the MCU. But the biggest concern is I just want these next 2 movies to be a beginning, and it doesn't feel like they are. They feel like they're a continuation of the end, and they're going to try to just say, oh, something new is starting at the end of them. And I'm worried it's going to go back to how Endgame was. Because in retrospect, I know a lot of people praise this movie, but it did end up, or the MCU at large, because of this movie, ended up having some huge problems. So as much as I like it tying stuff off, I'm just hoping that they kind of focus less on callbacks and stuff, even though you kind of need those to keep the audience engaged. But I just want them to focus more on the writing like the I Love You 3000, the new character moments that really show we still have more to do with these characters. And I'm just hoping they actually write a beginning. Because if not, it's just going to keep happening, the cycle of just endings and endings and endings and endings. Because like even Infinity War wasn't a beginning. It was an ending. It was the first half of the end. I would really love to see. This is why originally I wanted them to do a Young Avengers movie. I thought a Young Avengers movie would have kicked off similar to Thunderbolts. We'll get to it, but I thought it would have kicked off a new era very nicely. At least after all the shows, that movie could have made the jump from TV shows to movies, and they could have carried on from there. But I'm just hoping these next 2 movies aren't as conclusive and callbacky, but I'm kind of worried about that.
But Brody, this is the last thing I'll say. It just proves how good Endgame is. I'm sorry, but if there's a reason they're going to want to go back to it, that is why.
But in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to save much if they keep doing that. It'll give them the budget to make more mistakes.
You know what the bright side is? You know what the bright side about that, Brody, is?
No.
We have our entire lives to debate this, and that's what makes the MCU great.
There you go.
That is going to do it for this episode of the Sacred Rewatch. We hope you enjoyed diving all over the timeline with us. Catch us next week where we are watching Loki Season 1. Let's go. New recap episodes are coming out every week leading up to Avengers Doomsday, wherever you are in the multiverse. It truly is the multiverse now. Or is it? Thanks for making the Sacred Rewatch part of your journey. For all time. Always. See you guys.